we talked a little bit about the failed projects especially at the beginning. I think the main reason was that decisions were driven only by tech teams. They went ahead and started implementing, and when business realized how much the process itself changed,
Hmm.
they said like, no, it's not gonna work.
What makes the architecture MACH?
I don't think it's gonna make it Mac fully. Like if we would take the grading, you probably need to follow microservices API first, cloud native, and headless, right? Most of the solutions on the market right now are cloud native. You will need to have some APIs to be able to do it. So in general, it's partially Mac, but I wouldn't call it like a fully blown Mac if they're just gonna replace one version. But I don't think they have to be full Mac right away. So that's what we just discussed with Philip, right? It's really important to be able to take the step-by-step process.
Yeah, like it is generally known, like as at least like from the tech perspective, as a hybrid setup when you're basically mixing the best of breed Mach and composable API first vendors with the good old monolithic applications that are right now giving you an API, and you're just decreasing the scope of how much you're using those
Mm,
applications. But at the same time, in many cases, these are still good applications. Like the fact that something failed on a full scale doesn't mean that part of those capabilities won't still be able to serve you. So it is very important actually to identify like which things work and which doesn't work, not to think about this as like a 0 and 1 kind of thinking. Because if you have something that is fulfilling 100 capabilities, it's very unlikely that like all these 100 capabilities are not served well. Like probably you maybe have problem with 20 or 30 that are real bottlenecks that are like undermining your business, making all the business processes slow, costing you lots of money, etc. Like think about identifying those and replacing them, and don't replace something that works. Like it's pointless.
yeah.
Mm, and I think there's one more misconception about composable that is actually not that much of a misconception, but I've been hearing a lot of different opinions about that. So uh, composable on its own, like it is being presented for a very long time, especially during its early days, as something simple,
Mm-hmm.
better, simpler, like every new shiny thing. The truth is, it is better for some use cases, especially large scale use cases, but I would never consider it being a simple solution. Like it takes time, it takes money, and it takes significant effort and knowledge to actually implement composable and do this well. And for that, you actually need domain experts. You need a very strong team. And of course, like you could hire some in-house people, and that's one of the options. What we are seeing is usually our customers, they are turning into SIs.
Mm-hmm.
So an agencies that are specifically trained and experienced in implementing composable in those transformations. And what we are seeing is that because they are dealing with such a variety of implementations, they can really advise you very well, like what actually kind of vendors you should choose, what kind of strategies you should choose for the transition, how to apply different tactics and techniques to your particular use case. And in addition, many of them will also help you to marry the business with the technology and will help you to do a proper change management in your organization that will be aligned with the technological choices, because you cannot suddenly replace half of your technology without making significant changes in the organizations. Like those systems, they will be right now used by different people. There will be different decision makers for certain changes, for certain things. Like you need to align those things to truly benefit from composable transformation. And it is very hard to do something like this without someone who is an expert in that and seen that at least few times.
Yeah, and I think in general, we talked a little bit about the failed projects especially at the beginning. I think the main reason was that decisions were driven only by tech teams. They went ahead and started implementing, and when business realized how much the process itself changed, They said like, no, it's not gonna work. We're not gonna throw away everything we've built. This doesn't make sense for us. So there was no alignment. And I do think it's important to have the right SI that is also gonna help you like plan the development in such a way that you will not block yourself, because like you really have to know what to do first and how to approach it, and getting your business on board and make sure they understand the different implications of changing a CMS, changing a search, how it's going to impact search optimization and so on. It's very important to really put a lot of focus on this.
Yeah, I agree. And that was also a scene, for example, of the headless movement at the Magento space.
Yes.
If you remember, like headless was also promoted as something better, as something that will magically solve your problems. And in reality, what we had is we had even backend developers implementing headless.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was a disaster. Like we had a lot of failed projects. We had a lot of situations where companies were actually getting back to the monoliths because they were realizing they don't need this headless thing. They thought all of their problems will be solved. In reality, they had exactly the same problems, but with a different technological stack.
Yeah.
So if you truly want to benefit from composable, don't take the architecture on its own as a solution to the problem, because this is just, the way how you organize your software. It's not solve any problems on its own. Like you really need someone who will help you to take advantage of this.